things to Nightcrawler. You know, the legend of the butt baby, gotta have two moms kind of stuff. And that's what happens when you hire morons.
He's mad about the fact that they have two moms? That's what he's upset about, that there was a character with two? Okay. All right, hello once again, my furry audience. This one's for you. Ever since I covered Brett Cooper going over why she hates furries a long time ago, I've had a huge influx of furries into my audience. I then did a debate against an anti-fur, which is one of my most viewed videos of all time, with I think around 70,000 likes, or it's not likes, 70,000 views, if I'm not mistaken. So suffice it to say, I have quite the furry following. I have good news for you. We have another video to cover today about furries. From Thinking Critical, Marvel Comics double down on furry bullshit. Thinking Critical is, his name is Wes, apparently. He's a Christian husband, father, and comic industry YouTuber, so you know that this is going to be good. He has commanded satellites, worked inside a mountain, and served in the Afghan War. He has journeyed the globe from Alaska to England to the Republic of Korea. Wes is a proud expat living with his best friend and wife and their 3 exceptional sons. Very good. So let's see what this exceptional father here has to say about furries.
Can someone answer
in Marvel Comics?
A very simple question. What is it with modern Marvel's obsession with making their heroes into like furries, like part of the furry community? Not that the furry community are awful people. I'm sure there are great people in the furry community. But for the most part, it's a cunt hair of the entire population. It's so minuscule.
A what?
But for the most part, it's a cunt hair.
Did he just say what I think he said? What's that word? Is that what he said? From Wiktionary, the free dictionary. Slang, vulgar, a very small distance. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. That's wild that he'd say that. My mom says it. Really? It's a common expression? Listen, I have never heard of this expression.
Of the entire population. It's so minuscule, you can barely even see that it's there. Doesn't really appeal to a wide demographic of people, whereas in Marvel Comics, you're expecting it to appeal basically to everybody. At least.
Okay, but like Looney Tunes was universally appraised, and that had like a ton of like what you could consider furry characters. It's all over media. Zootopia is another great example. That was a critically acclaimed movie. Sing is another one. There's so much content out there of like anthropomorphized animals. It goes way, way back, even before we have like modern day TV and movies. Like, we have always anthropomorphized animals, and people who aren't furries have eaten that shit up. So it's not necessarily appealing to like specifically furries. It just is what it is. It's part of media. Okay, I'm glad that it is not only me who has never heard that expression before.
At least men. But they continuously saddle heroes, characters that are struggling as is.
Yeah, Disney with Mickey
being
Mouse.
Furries. And this is all coming out of, was it Chasm, Curse of Cain? Whatever that book is that no one's reading because it's written by Steve Fox. One of the worst writers at Marvel Comics. Whenever I see his name on the book, I just know I don't even need to check it out. It's not even worth a gainer because it's going to be so bad. Every once in a while, one of these dumbass websites like Screen Rant will let you know, hey, you should have paid attention to this Steve Fox book because it absolutely sucks. And he did something really, really stupid. Of course, this is the guy that made the, what was it? Like the gay seamstress Spider-Man web weaver. Do you remember that character?
Not gay Spider-Man.
Was it Edge of Spider-Verse? I think the character was also in a Pride anthology or two. This is the level of creativity that Steve Fox is bringing to Marvel Comics. And shockingly, people are turning Marvel Comics off left and right. When I saw the article, which I'm about to get to, I assume that...
Why do they always say that like people are getting turned off of Marvel Comics because of gay people and furry characters and whatever else? Like, I don't think that's the reason. I don't even know that like people are getting turned off to Marvel Comics, are they? Like, maybe there's statistics on this. I could be wrong, but that sounds like hearsay to me, that like he's in a bubble of people who are like, well, I don't really listen to I don't really watch Marvel movies or read Marvel comics anymore because of there's too many gay people. There's just too many gay people. Like, maybe that's his bubble of people, but I don't think that's a very common sentiment. I think Marvel is still doing fine. I'm pretty sure Marvel's doing fine. And also, like, can we talk about Squirrel Girl real quick? Let's talk about Squirrel Girl. You know what I mean? Like, probably, yeah, it's definitely a good thing I am not showing Twitter right now because holy shit. People are going nuts over Squirrel Girl. Where's the video? She's solo Thanos. Isn't she a joke character?
that this was edited. The editor on the book was Sarah Brunstad, because she is probably the worst editor in all of comic books. And I'm including like
I don't know her, so
little bitty publishers. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking like I'm including Humanoid in this, in Oni Press, as far as being the worst editor in all of comic books. And it's not Sarah Brunstad. It's Nick fucking Lowe. The actual group editor of Spider-Man is the editor of this book. And he decided to saddle a Spider-Man character that probably never needed it with the furry label, according to Screed Rant. Absolutely ridiculous.
So what?
There are a great number of established superhero groups in Marvel Comics, and the thing that usually defines them is their shared interest in truth, justice, and general heroism. But there's also a fair number of individual Marvel superheroes who have another shared interest, one that's decidedly less conventional. And now this dedicated group of heroes has another member, as Marvel names one more superhero who is self-proclaimed furry. And that's supposed to be like a big deal, like a big, bright, shining moment. Finally, we've got another furry superhero. You know what I would like my Marvel superhero comic books? Heroes, people doing the right thing, trying to save the day, fighting.
Yeah, but like there are people who are furries out there, and they're probably very happy that like their hobby is being accepted as like a thing that you can do as a superhero. You know what I mean? Like it's good representation, you know? Okay. Like who cares?
For truth, justice, and the American way,
Yeah,
or
no mention of
whatever it
Rocket
is that their
Raccoon.
ethos is. But they're so busy piling on all these like stupid little extra identifiers on them. The characters oftentimes don't even have time to go and save anybody anymore. We finally got in what was it? Ultimate Spider-Man number 11. Not that Jonathan Hickman is doing what Steve Fox is doing, but in Ultimate Spider-Man number 11, he finally fought bad guys. Almost a year before the hero actually stopped a bank robbery.
Superheroes don't always need to be saving people in order for the narrative to be interesting. Like you can have like if you look at a show like not Bad Boys, The Boys, sorry, The Boys. A lot of the time it is not superheroes saving people. It is just superheroes trying to live like as normal. Some of them living as normal a life they can. Some of them getting way caught up in their powers and like actually killing people. You know, like there are other ways you can explore a superhero world. You know what I mean? You know, there was in Invincible, one of the most iconic scenes in that is when Invincible fights his dad. You know, that's not necessarily saving anybody. That's like an internal conflict between father and son, more like first and foremost, I should say. You know, like I feel like this is a very simple. This is a way to simplify what like the potential that a superhero story can have. You know, like I haven't read the story, so maybe it is boring. I don't know, but I just don't think that the furry part of it comes into play.
That's how ridiculous comic books are getting, because you have a lot of people.
And also, I'm sorry, but like a superhero stopping a bank robbery, I'm just not invested. If you have a superhero stopping, like the only time it was acceptable is in The Boys because it was like going somewhere with it. You know what I mean? Like it was purposefully cliche, you know, it was self-aware. But in general, like the idea of a superhero stopping a bank robber is very stupid to me.
Not specifically,
you don't got
Hickman,
anything
but
better
more
to do.
People like Steve Fox, your Jadzia Axelrods, your morons like that come in and they're like, I'm not here to entertain people. I'm not here to raise the profile of the character. I'm not here to establish my bona fides as a superhero comic book writer. I'm here to change the world. And the way that I'm going to change the world is I'm going to take an established character and make him a fucking furry, as if that would appeal really to anybody. I imagine
Did they say that was going to change
furry
the world?
Superhero comic book readers are also like, why is this guy a furry? It doesn't even make sense. He wouldn't be a part of the community. And even if he was, he wouldn't have time for it. He's got.
I don't think Squirrel Girl considers herself a furry. Okay, but like the idea of personified animalistic people, like she's on the furry scale, okay? I'm sorry, but she is. She's got a squirrel tail. She's got ears. She may not be very far across on the slider, but she's on there, okay? My point is that people have never cared. Look at Lola Bunny, one of the most sexualized furry characters in all of fandom, okay? Lola Bunny. Judy Rabbit, right? Judy Hopps or whatever from the movie Zootopia. You know, funny enough, it's usually bunny characters, but I digress. Crystal Fox from the Star Fox series, another one. Like, it's never been controversial to find these characters attractive or, you know, be invested in their story. Like I don't know, like the idea of a character being a furry is just not that big of a deal to me. It's just not. Like, it's okay, it's a feature of their personality. Who cares?
Gonna have too much going on trying to save the day, but that's not really what superhero comic books are. Case in point, in Chasm, Curse of Cain #4 by Steve Fox, Kane Parker, aka the new Scarlet Spider, and Ben Reilly, aka Chasm, are battling the sadistic Eternal, Druig, and his army of mind-controlled Moloids. And they're not alone. Another hero fighting Druig's forces is Chasm's girlfriend, Hallows Eve. During this battle, Hallows Eve puts on a mask that grants her the ability to transform into a ferocious cat person, and as such, she tears through the enemy forces with terrifying ease. When her boyfriend sees her do this, Chasm comments, "You know how weirdly sexy I find your kitty cat form." It seems Ben Reilly is attracted to Hallows Eve when she takes the form of an anthropomorphic cat. Based on what defines one as a furry, someone with an important emotional, spiritual connection with an animal or animals, real, fictional, or symbolic. Ben's comments land him firmly within that category. That's just great. Ben Reilly, a character much maligned, cannot find his place in the Marvel Comics universe, is now the hero of the furries.
Who cares? That's great. Who cares?
To women dressed up like cats. Like, it does
That's
nothing.
funny. No, wait, that's funny. That's entertaining. That's like, oh my God, you have a girlfriend who can transform into a cat person and like maul people to death. Like, yeah, okay, that's kind of like, some people would say, yeah, that's kind of sexy. What? Because of Peter's relationship with Black Cat, it's a reference? I see, I don't know the reference then. Peter Parker dated Black Cat. Okay. So there's clearly a reference here then. Okay, so there's even more context that nullifies this guy's point. I don't have that context, but apparently this is like a well thought out scene. Yeah, no one ever sexualized Catwoman, true.
Nothing for the character. And maybe it was supposed to be a funny line, but I don't.
Okay, so wait. You have a Spider-Man character who has a girlfriend who can transform into a cat, and the joke is that he's a furry? That's funny, okay? It's a funny coincidence, yeah. Oh, that's pretty sexy. I'm glad that I have a girlfriend that can do that because it just so happens that I'm into that shit. Okay, that's great.
I don't believe so, because that's not who Steve Fox is. He's not a writer. He's an activist masquerading as a writer that's infiltrated Marvel Comics and is trying to throw these little things in there because now they're canon.
Why are you so mad about this?
From now until eternity will be the furry Spider-Man, as if we needed furry Spider-Man. Do we really need that? Ben Reilly, who can't be the Scarlet Spider anymore. Why, I don't know. That was the only time the character really worked after, obviously, the Clone Song and all that kind of stuff. Now he's saddled with being dime store variant version of Venom. Very similar costume, except it's purple, but with the exact same, I guess, motivation, or at least he did have it. At one point, he wanted to kill Peter Parker for having the perfect life, and now he's a furry as well. You're just never going to be able to get a character over. No one's going to be able to invest in the character, and the people that do like him, like, let's say,
why not?
Yellow Flash, who I believe...
You can't invest yourself in a character who's furry. What are you, a sociopath? Just because they happen to be a furry, you can't get invested in like their trifles and tribulations, like their problems. You can't get invested in like their good deeds and like their fuck ups and whatever. Like you can't follow the story now that you have the knowledge they're a furry. What are you, like, stupid? Are you just like low IQ? Like, what are you talking about? That ruins the story for you. Why? It's like you said, it's just a characteristic of the person's personality. They happen to be a furry. Like, you can still follow their story and be invested. It's fine. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal.
Steve is an enormous Ben Reilly fan. You've just given him a reason to not invest in the character anymore, or deny ever liking the character, or get rid of his fucking Scarlet Spider collection to begin with and not buy the next volume of that when you decide to do the right thing and put him back as the Scarlet Spider, because he's the one that worked and Kane doesn't work
do the
as
right
Scarlet
thing.
Spider. It's absolutely stupid that they're even doing this, but that's what happens when you employ dumb asses like Steve Fox that don't come in with an agenda to entertain. They don't come in with an agenda to do the best Ben Reilly story. They come in with an agenda to do as much as they can subversively and change the identity of the characters so they can get a headline in the Gay Times or the Furry Times or whatever publication.
Okay, I will cede you this. Sometimes they do these little things specifically to piss people like you off because they know it'll get press coverage. And it works. It works because of people like you, because of dipshits like you. You're letting it work because you're getting so worked up over it. So I'll cede you that, but you're literally playing into their hands, okay? So don't bullshit me.
Or covers crap like this, and he can get a pat on the back and maybe get a high five girlfriend when he goes to a con from Leah Williams. And that's about the extent of the achievement. But he's done, perhaps, I don't know how Ben Reilly fans are going to react to this, but perhaps he's done irreparable harm to the character. Definitely could happen. I know I don't think about Nightcrawler quite the same way anymore since Gail Simone did what she did. Now, obviously, they've done other.
What did Gail Simone do to Nightcrawler? I feel like I have to look this up. Why people hate Gail Simone, r/comic books. I think he covers it shortly. Okay, I'll go back to it.
Other things to Nightcrawler. The legend of the butt baby. Got to have two moms kind of stuff. And that's what happens when you hire morons.
He's mad about the fact that they have two moms? That's what he's upset about, that there was a character with two. Okay, like that's just stupid to get mad about to me.
Like a Cy Spurrier, who isn't nearly as bad as Steve Fox, but is also terrible. And these kind of writers are proliferating all around the Marvel Comics universe. They're destroying characters, they're destroying universes left and right, and they get carte blanche not only from idiots like a Sarah Brunstad, but from the fucking group editor himself, Nick Lowe. And this is the dude that's chastising people left and right on social media and in the letters pages when he can't get his own fucking house in order. But of course, Screen Rant are very excited. They want to have an entire team up of furry characters in the Marvel universe.
Great.
Ridiculous.
Very ridiculous. That's fine. Like, who cares? Okay, yeah, bring all the furries together. Yeah, okay. We'll see if we can find a way. Now, I think that you would have to here's the thing. I think that a gimmick like that, to be honest, would have to be kind of a shitty plot. Because it's like, how do you get all of the furry characters across the Marvel Cinematic or the comic book universe into the same place at the same time, and only the furry characters? You really don't. You just don't. You'd have to have a pretty contrived plot, probably. It's like what they did with the bullshit in Endgame, where they had all of the female characters all together, and they're like, "Don't worry, we have help." And it's like it's like the girl power scene. I hate that scene so much. It is universally like the worst, like considered one of the worst scenes in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's so bad. So I feel like it would be like that. But if they can find a way to make it work, then great. I'm just worried about the plot here. Here's my thing with people like this. Whenever they review shit, or whenever they go over stuff like this, it's never about like the actual plot. It's never about like, we need to make sure that the stories are good. It's not good for this and that reason. Like, okay. You will never have a story that is bad because a character was a furry. Okay? That you just won't have a story that is bad because a character was gay. Stuff like that. You won't have a story that's bad because a character was trans. That does not in itself make the story bad. What makes it bad is the writing. So if it's a bad story that happens to have a character who's a furry, you're not mad at the character who's a furry, you're mad at the bad story writing. Okay? You just happen to also hate furries, and that's why you're pointing the finger at that. That's my thing with people like this.
He's not the only one. There are a number of Marvel Comics heroes who have self-identified as furries. In the Deadpool Wolverine crossover event Weapon Extraction, it's revealed that there's a universe where both heroes are
superhero
anthropomorphic animals. Basically, they're permanent fursonas. Very funny Screen Rant. In Earth 616, Deadpool is very into it, even if 616 Wolverine isn't. And in Uncanny X-Men #3, someone calls Nightcrawler a furry as an insult, but Kurt clarifies that he actually is a furry, admitting that he thinks the parties are magnificent. So Marvel has established that Nightcrawler, Deadpool, and one set of Deadpool and Wolverine variants are canonically furries, and it just added one more.
Okay, Deadpool? Yeah. Yeah. So what? He is the joke character. Deadpool identifying as a furry is objectively funny, I agree. He's the joke character. What do you mean you're mad that there's a Deadpool who's a furry? Now you're just bullshitting me. That's how you know you're just bullshitting people. Getting mad at a Deadpool comic because Deadpool happens to be a furry. Yeah, okay. He is like the joke character. If anybody should be a furry, it should be him.
Ben Reilly. Oh my goodness, let's give him a standing ovation. Congratulations. Your entire house is about to fall under the weight of your stupidity. But let's give them a participation ribbon for trying to get this stuff over. But it's never going to work. And like I said, hey, if you're a furry and you like comic books and you realize that, hey, Ben Reilly probably isn't good being a furry, or you realize that making Nightcrawler canonically a furry are bad ideas, then great. We're all on the same page. You could be a furry.
Why is making Nightcrawler a furry a bad? Like, what character? Like, what component of that character would seed that he's not a furry? Like, why does being a furry interact with his character in a negative fashion? That's what I want to know. Like, can he actually answer that question? Because otherwise, this is just whining over nothing.
We all have weird things that we're into.
Yeah, imagine being
I
his
do
kid.
think if you're a furry, that's a weird kind of little thing that you do. But I do weird stuff too. When I play the NCAA football game, I don't actually play the game. I simulate all the games and I just do the coach stuff. That's a weird way to play the game. And I'm sure there's a tiny subset of people in the entire world that likes to play NCAA football that way. Should you write a comic book specifically for people that like NCAA football, the video game, that way? Probably not. There's only a few thousand.
But, like, you could put it in, like, you could have a superhero whose pastime is playing NCAA football on the Xbox. Like, that would be fine. Like, have a little segment that you know, shouts those people out. Like, that's fine. You're fleshing out the character. Yeah, you're allowed to. You're fleshing out the character. Like, you would have no problem if you saw Spider-Man playing NCAA football on the Xbox. You would have no problem with that. But for some reason, you have a problem with the character mentioning they're a furry. It's just a hobby. It's just an activity. You know, it can be a part of their identity too, but, like, it's not a big deal.
Thousand of us. Not exactly a robust audience just waiting for that there. And they just constantly are trying to find the smallest minuscule of an audience in the world. And you're like, you know what? That's the one that we need to find. All the people that actually.
But it's not a zero-sum game. You can appeal to the furry community and still appeal to the community at large, like the comic book community. And you can show the furries who happen to be in the comic book community, hey, we're aware that you're there, and here's your fan service, by the way. You know? And you can do that without isolating other groups from your comic book. You can do both. It's not a zero-sum game.
So it's really a smart move. Spend money on a regular basis for superhero stories. They don't really matter. Let's go find the weirdest, smallest, most niche demographic in the world and put Ben Reilly there.
That's one joke line.
Help the character.
Yeah, this is all over one guy saying one time that he's into furry stuff from Nightcrawler. Like, there was one joke line.
But, you know.
They can't even have that. You can't have that.
Fives and you go girls. When he goes
you get
to
nothing.
cons, I guess it's probably all worth it to him. But in the end, it won't be worth it to CB Cebulski, to Todd Brevoort, to your Nick Lowe's, and all the people that are supposed to be running the asylum that is Marvel Comics these days, because there's no oversight. There are no adults in the rooms. There is nobody there to ask a question. I see what you did there.
No more furry stuff.
How does
no more
that
furries.
help the character? What audience do we think?
We need an adult in the room to say no more furry stuff in Marvel Comics. That's ruining Marvel Comics, this furry stuff that's never been in Marvel Comics before, right? Never had it. We've never had furry stuff in Marvel Comics. Now that we have it, that Marvel Comics is going down the drain, and we need an adult in the room to step up and say we don't need furries anymore.
That will attract. And also, the inverse of that, what audience do we think that might turn off? Nobody's there to ask just the normal business-style questions because they're all too busy being subversive.
Oh no, we've turned off the audience of the Christian husband, father, and comic industry YouTuber. We seem to have turned off that specific audience. Oh no.
And trying to basically destroy characters.
Famously, we've always been in the good graces of Christians. All media everywhere is usually in the good graces of Christians. Certainly Marvel Comics, right?
But they don't own, because they never created. The one character that Steve Fox created was a gay Spider-Man that creates clothes as a seamstress. The most ridiculous idea in the world.
So what?
Or at least one of the most ridiculous
That's not
ideas.
ridiculous. That's not, it's just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who happens to be a seamstress and is gay. Okay, that's not ridiculous on its own. If you want to see ridiculous, go watch like half of the anime that I've seen in the past 2 weeks. You want to talk about ridiculous? Those are some ridiculous ass stories. I'm just saying, okay? Having a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man or Spider-Person or whatever, who is a seamstress and also happens to be gay, is not ridiculous in and of itself. I would want to know what else goes on in this world, because just having that character there is not indicative of whether or not the world's good or bad. But that's my point, is like you're bringing up something that is entirely neutral and calling it bad when it's just neutral. Okay, Spider-Man's a seamstress and also gay. What else is going on? Is it a good story? Are there good plot points? Do we get good character development from the Spider-Man or from the people around them? Like, what's going on in this comic book that you are upset about? The fact that they're gay and a seamstress? Okay, that's really weird to get upset about. That's weird to get upset about.
In the world until you realize Sun Spider's still out there. an even worse idea aimed at another absolutely minuscule demographic of people out there. But this kind of stuff is why we are where we are, in a managed decline. Marvel and DC know that they'll never get it back because they keep making decisions like this. And I don't think they want to. I don't think CB Cebulski cares if Marvel Comics can still publish comic books in 25 years.
My main gripe with Marvel is that their movies kind of suck. Like, their movies are, and it's not because of woke stuff or whatever. It's just because, like, they always do the weird one-liners. Like, I remember in Katie showed me the what was it, the Seven Rings or whatever, the movie with the rings. I can't remember what it's called, but like the superpower was like a guy who has like rings and he like uses them to do magic shit, right? And I remember this scene. This was the last Marvel movie I watched, and I remember the scene in it where the lady is like driving a bus, like a speeding bus. I think the brakes were broken or something down the road. And she's like stopping the bus, and she does it by like rolling over a fuck ton of parked cars and like grinding against a not Green Lantern, no. It was like I'm gonna be racist if I get this wrong. I believe it was a Chinese person, like it's of Chinese origin, and it's like passed down through generations, like the ring power. Shang-Chi, yeah. Shang-Chi, and so this lady was like trying to stop this bus, and she's like grinding against the garbage truck and also running over a ton of cars. And then the bus stops, and she looks over at the garbage truck driver, who's like obviously shaken, and she's like, "We make a pretty good team, don't we?" And I'm just like, "You've got to be shitting me. You literally just ran over a ton of parked cars. You could have killed people, and that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth? Are you kidding me?" And this is just a normal ass person, by the way, who has no superpowers and just is thrown into the situation, and then she's like, "We make a pretty good team, don't we?" Like all sassy and whatever. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Like it's not funny. I like threw my hand on my head and I was like, "Are you kidding me, Katie? This is your movie? This is what you present me as a good Marvel movie? Like, come on." I'm not saying that alone makes it a bad movie, Katie. I'm saying that was silly.
As long as he gets paid today, who cares how much damage is done?
But that's
under
my
his
problem
watch?
with
I think
Marvel.
that's kind of the approach that he's taken the entire time he's been there. It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on here. If you do appreciate what I'm doing here, providing some honesty, a little bit of levity,
what you're
and
doing.
a lot of healthy criticism to the...
What are you doing? It's not healthy criticism at all. It's stupid criticism. It's pointless criticism. There's no problem with a character being a furry. There's just not. And you don't have to exclude people in order to make a furry character. Like, you're reaching out to niche demographics in addition to your normal everyday demographic of like people who aren't furries. You can do both. It's silly. It's silly to think otherwise. This was a stupid video, and it just seems like he's not upset at any of the plot beats, the story beats. He's just mad that there was a furry character, so whatever, I guess.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.